Today I was in a store and I witnessed some women beginning to slander a man, and I knew that if that was a woman, they wouldn't be saying what they were saying. Hi, welcome to Far From Eden. I have not been feeling very well for the past couple of days, hence the no makeup and how I look. I usually try to do a little bit better for you guys and for myself, since I don't like to look the way I feel. Anyway, if you've been here before, if you've been part of this channel's growth, thank you so much. And you already know that part of my deal is that I've had MS for over 20 years. And so sometimes it factors into the story or why I haven't made a video, etc. I'm trying to do better, and all of y'all's encouragement is so helpful. Like, you don't know how much it helps when you're like, keep making them, keep churning out the videos, this is helpful. Like, it means the world to me that this is helpful for you. That's why I do it. So I'm truly humbled by it, and I want to continue to learn so that I can be more of a voice. Especially, we have to remember, us especially women, because you guys can't say this stuff. You'll get accused of something or called a misogynist. Anyway, I was picking up my glasses, which I'm not wearing now because I wore them so long, it gave me a headache. But anyway, that'll be something you'll have to put up with too, as my new glasses. But anyway, I was picking up my glasses and I was standing up, and I didn't want to go sit down in the waiting area because the waiting area was really, for me, it was too long of a walk to make it worth it. So just kind of hung out at the desk. It was kind of a big room. Anyway, and I'm just chatting, and it's kind of taking a while. I'm kind of new to glasses. I just thought I would come and pick them up. I didn't know there was a hole, they're going to fit them to your face. So I'm hanging out, and there's a couple ladies, and I think they're, one was maybe 70 at the desk. The other one that came up was 60. It's so hard to tell now. It's just so hard to tell. But they were older than me, and and I said, about how long do you think it's going to take? Because I have to make it to the pharmacy before they close for lunch, whenever that is now. And the lady said to me, the younger of the older ladies said to me, "Oh, is the pharmacy back open?" And I said, "Yeah, what do you mean?" She's like, "Oh, well, it was closed. It was completely closed because the pharmacist just walked off." No. And the way she said it was like, I live in a small town, so we have 4 pharmacies, I think, in the entire county, and this is one of the big ones. And she's like, "Yeah, the whole pharmacy had to close down because he just walked off." And I've talked to this man before, because I go to the pharmacy frequently, and I've befriended a few pharmacists along the way. I know how hard they work. I know how much they know. I know how thankless it is. You can also kind of figure what the demographic is of the people who work that job. So I had sort of not befriended that pharmacist man, but I had chatted with him. I talked to him about working for that particular pharmacy company, and what I thought about that pharmacy company. I could see how stressed he was when I was at the pharmacy, and there was not enough staff, never enough staff. He was the only pharmacist. All the other ones were just techs. It was crazy, the responsibility that this man had. I saw the stress on his face. Now, this is not political. This is not medical. This is just what the story is. So we're flashing back to my conversation with this pharmacist man, who later on, these women were slandering effortlessly. Just so easy. Blame the man. And anyway, so the flashback, when I was talking to the pharmacist man, I don't remember his name, but when I was talking to him, I was talking about that pharmacy, that company, and how I don't like it, and talking about their mandates for the medication that many companies mandated. I don't want to say any of those words on YouTube, having just been barely monetized. It's not the time to start talking about, diseases that maybe hit in 2020 and medication that was suggested for it. Anyway, that company made all of their employees get the jab. And he said, I don't know how we got talking about it, but he said, yeah, I didn't have a choice. I have a family. I knew that if he had felt like he had a choice, he would not have done it. And you can think whatever you want to think about that. It's not about that. It's that he wanted to make a decision based on what he knew. Maybe he wanted to wait, I don't know, but he wanted to make a certain decision. But he was in a position where he couldn't, because he knew his family, he knew his wife would leave him. He knew his wife would leave him if he didn't, remain the pharmacist. And so he had to take that medication that he didn't want to take and continue working at that pharmacy. And I was still, still a conversation. And he was like spilling his guts to me. And I know, because he could see that I saw him. I was the only one who could see him. You guys have given me a radar for this sort of man who's just at the edge. He's like about to be Michael Douglas from that movie Falling Down. You can see it. It's like, oh boy, what's happening? So he was in that position, and then he shared with me that he was in some kind of contract that he had to pay like $20,000 to get out of it if he got out of it before November. If he got out in November, he could pay like less. I'm like, oh my God. Like, I didn't know they had them in contracts like that. Like, they had him by the private parts. And he even said to me that his mother was going to pay half of it, or she was going to pay it. But the thing was, it's like, oh, I get it. It's clearly not okay with your wife if you and your family pays to get you out of this horrible contract with this terrible company that it's not good to work for. And so that was the conversation I had with the pharmacy man. Cut to December, whatever today is, the 7th. Cut to today, and I'm at the eyeglass place. It's a small town. I'm at the eyeglass place, and this pharmacy shut down because the pharmacist just walked off. I'm like, no ma'am, that's not true. The company knew he was leaving. He had a contract that he had to buy out to be able to leave. He had to take medication that he did not want to take in order to keep that job, and he knew that the family's not going to be too happy so I told this woman this, like, I am not going to have you stand here and just say, oh yeah, this man just walked off the job. He said it was all about the staff. I said, well, that was part of it. There was never enough staff. He was always shorthanded. People wouldn't show up. People would be late. It was terribly managed. It's not like he just shut down the pharmacy. And I knew. Can you imagine? This is how you flip it in your head, and you're like, nope, this is misandry. That's what this is. Because if you flipped it the other way around, you would never hear her saying, oh yeah, that woman just walked off the job. She complained about the staff. No. Not unless she's trying to specifically like ruin that woman's reputation or something, as like a personal vendetta. But you're not going to say that about a woman. You're not. It would be, I know what it would be if it were a woman. It would be, oh yeah, It was just so hard. They wouldn't give her enough staff. You know, the company wasn't being fair to her. It would be a whole different spin. And that was the point. It's so, and I know, like, he'll probably never know about this. It won't matter. It's not going to change the company, you know. But I don't know. It matters. Apparently, I have some principles. You know, like, you're not going to stand there and badmouth a man so easily that it was like he terrorized the village. I mean, that's what it was like. It was like, can you believe, what he did to our town? I mean, it was very much like that. And it was so easy. But, when I started talking to her and explaining, no, it's not like that. I spoke to the man. Everything softened. She was like, oh. I mean, it was legit. I would know if she was, just going along. But she definitely backpedaled. The women don't know how trained they are to say men are bad. Men are, they always want to attribute, or I don't know if that's the word. I don't feel that great. But they always want to think that the man's intentions are to harm. Or they're somehow, that the men somehow disregard the other people around them. And it can't, I know there are men who do that, sure. But by and large, no, it's not the case. It's evident. We wouldn't have a society if that were the case. We wouldn't have the institutions we have. We wouldn't have the structure. If you compare our society, Western society, with, some of the other parts of the world, like, I know, I'm a fan of the patriarchy. What can I say? It's worked out pretty well. It's worked out pretty well. Anyway, I'm digressing because I haven't gotten to talk to you guys, so I'm like, it's never ending. But anyway, yeah, I just saw that man, and I hope he's doing well. I hope it helped to be heard. Speaking of which, I don't know if you guys remember my post office story. It's long ago, but I walked in and talked about the draft thing that they had up, and I was like, I was talking to the men folk in there, and then the lady came in and, like, what are you, she was just like making sure they were on task, and then went in the back. I was like, so I said something to them. It's one of my videos. I can't remember which one. But anyway, now whenever I go in the post office, the one man that I was saying it to primarily, I heard him sort of in the other room, and I was up by where the counter is, and I heard him, and I was just kind of like, I was waiting for him to see me, and he looked over and he just yelled out, "Man up!" So that's our thing now. Because he's like, why do they tell men to man up and they don't tell women to woman up? And the whole thing is like, well, if you want equal rights, you gotta do what the men do. And that was my whole point. Because, hey, you don't need to be traditional. But, like, don't be both. You can't have both. That's what they want. Anyway, so yeah, my post office guy, like, it makes me feel good that when I walk in there, he sees me. And he's even seen, I don't think I told you guys this, I've gone in before, and there was the guy, the man up guy, and there was another man. And I walked up and I was getting my, stuff taken care of, and we're just kind of a little bit back and forth, sort of like inside jokes, like man up and everything. Another guy working there is kind of like, what's this? And he's like, hey, she's a good one. She's a good one. She says, she sticks up for men. It's like, oh. Like, it matters. It seems to matter. Anyway, yeah, I'm getting bolder about calling things out, you know, and one of you guys has said to me, like, hey, when people say, you know, when women say something in public that's, you know, derogatory towards men, like, I should say something. And I haven't as much as I'd like, but I did it and it felt good. And hopefully the next time these ladies, their brains immediately go to, oh, this man did this thing. They might say, oh, maybe it's more complicated than he's a man, therefore he's evil, therefore we have to attribute all these bad intentions to whatever happened. I don't know, but I'm going to do it anyways. So anyway, oh yeah, hit like and subscribe and all the YouTube-y things. If this is your first time here, you're probably like, what is this? What is she talking about? What is she rambling on about? Yeah, it's weird. Anyway, take care, you guys, and hopefully I'll be back to making more videos. Been trying to make the shorts, so at least there's something. Talk to you on the next one.